Right, Junkie Nation, it's been a minute, but we catch up with Aaron Pico today. Lots to cover here. The last time we saw him compete was about a year ago. When will we see him next? I don't know. Let's see if we can find out. Fellow SoCaler, Aaron Pico, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks
You
for
miss
having me
seeing
on.
these around town?
Say that again?
You miss seeing these around town?
Yeah, I have mine though. I wear mine a lot, so I'm always representing here in Albuquerque. So there's everybody here in Albuquerque is a Dodger fan. So
Oh, because they used to have the AAA team back in the day, right?
yeah, the Dukes.
Or do they still have them or no mas?
No, now it's the Rockies, I believe.
Okay.
But a lot of Dodger fans.
How long have you been there now? At least 5 years, right?
Yeah, since 2018.
Damn,
Yeah,
I seen the
oh no,
Instagram.
2019. Yeah, towards the end.
I seen the Instagram, the Pico Ranch. I see your boy growing up. How
Yeah.
old is he? He's already riding motorcycles?
Yeah, he's 3.5. Yeah, it's crazy. He started riding a bike when he was 3, and he was doing BMX. He does all kinds of stuff. He started wrestling, and now he wants to go back to BMX. He rides horses, so we'll see. They're at that age where they're all over the place, but it's been a joy watching him. But yeah, he started riding a dirt bike really young, but yeah, he's surprising me.
Are they easy one speed, or do they have gears at that age?
Well, no, the one that he has, it's electric. So they have 3 modes. So they start off like you can start off on the slow one, then the medium, and then the really fast one. But so we started him off at the one that was really slow, and then he worked his way up to the medium one. He's not ready for the fast one. I think he probably thinks he's ready, but I think I'm not ready.
How big is the Pico Ranch? Like, do you have hills for him to ride on, or is that somewhere else you go?
No, that's somewhere else I go. My house isn't very big, to be honest with you. It's only a half acre, but I have some stalls and like a little arena. I mean, he could ride his bike around, but we usually go out and go to the desert and ride. So, but yeah, I have some trails and stuff that I can ride, but my house isn't the property isn't super big. But one day I'll have a huge ranch. That's the plan.
What's the biggest thing you have to be concerned about when it comes to wildlife on your ranch?
Oh, nothing. I'm like 15 minutes from like the city. I'm kind of in a cool little neighborhood because you're not far from the city, but you're kind of away.
Right.
And they're all little like half acre lots. So it's nice. I can have my horses. It's zoned for horses. And yeah, it's perfect location because it's only like 12, 15 minutes away from the gym. So yeah.
Your little boy can ride out there and you don't have any concerns, a coyote, nothing like that?
No, not in my backyard, no.
Oh, okay. And how close are you to Cowboys? I know he used to be about an hour away back in the day, right? Did you ever train there? Or?
No, I've never trained there, but I think Cowboy, he's about an hour away. Yeah, he's got a big ranch. That's a ranch. Mine's is small compared to that.
I think he can land a plane on his. I don't know, all those times we interviewed him, he was always adding something.
Yeah, I've seen pictures and stuff. So he's got like tracks back there. He's got horses, and yeah, I hear it's a pretty cool and a training facility. So,
you're a SoCaler like us, so it's always great to catch up. But I gotta imagine that if I'm staring at this YouTube later on, they're gonna say, "Get to the free agency, you big dummy." They're talking to me. Ali Abdulaziz, your manager, said you're a free agent. He said we needed to get through January. There was like an exclusive period maybe where the PFL still had a ways of retaining you. But obviously this is a big deal because even Dana White was asked, what about Aaron Pico? And he goes, the guy is really like him. I think he meant the matchmakers.
Yeah.
So catch us up, Aaron. It's been a few weeks since January ended. Where do you stand right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, honestly, I am a free agent, but there's only one hiccup. The PFL has the right to match any offer I receive. So I'm still waiting for an offer from the UFC, but that's the hiccup that I have in my contract. But UFC is where I want to go. I want to go fight for them, and they're the biggest organization in the world. They have the best fighters. They have the most well known. But yeah, I'm just waiting on that. And to be completely honest with you, the only one that's really holding it up and it won't give me my full release is Donn Davis. He won't do it. So for reasons I have no idea, I fulfilled my contract, and that's the only little clause that they have. So if Donn Davis is listening, give me my full release. Do what is right. And I'm pretty frustrated. There's a lot of things that happen, and yeah, it's just like I said, the only word I can say is frustrating.
I've never met that guy, but man, his name comes up a lot from other fighters, and in similar situations as you, or just other types of frustrations.
Can
Might
I'll
be
tell
the
you
nicest
why?
guy in the world, or maybe he really is.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've only met him once, and I'll tell you the whole story of why what is going on. So when I fought in Saudi Arabia, I was on the same flight back to the States with him, and our flight was delayed. So we had a conversation, and he said, well, what is next? What do you want? I said, I want to fight for the title. I want to fight whoever the champion is. And he said, well, where do you want to fight? I said, I want to fight in California. That's where I'm from. I have a lot of family, and I think I can draw a lot of people there. He said, I think we're gonna have a show in California. So you got it. You're gonna fight for the title in California. So be ready. And we shook on it. He actually told my dad or my coach, why don't you take a picture of this moment, because this was the smoothest deal that I've ever done in the airport in Saudi Arabia. It's done. So we took a picture, and I flew back very, very happy, very optimistic, because I was getting ready to finally fight for the title. So training camp began, and we started fighting, and I never heard anything from them. The only thing I heard was that you're not fighting in September. They want you to fight in October on the Francis Ngannou card against Jesus Pinedo. I said, okay, that's fine. I mean, I have to fight. This is what I do for a living. So as training camp went on there, I got a phone call saying, you're not going to fight Jesus Pinedo. You're going to fight Jeremy Kennedy. I said, no problem. I'll fight whoever I have to fight. And continued on with training camp. Then I get a phone call saying that you're not fighting in Saudi Arabia. They want you to fight in Japan for the title against Patricio Pitbull on the New Year's Eve card. Began training camp again there, and then a couple of weeks before said, you're not fighting in Japan, and that's the last I've heard. So there's a reason why I don't. I'm frustrated, to be honest with you. That's why it's a little unsettling.
Well, I'm glad you laid it out that way. I think it'll help a lot of people understand why you're so frustrated, because that is a lot of, dragging things out after having a solid conversation. Just to clarify, was it after Pinedo had won and that was the champion you were going to face?
No, it wasn't.
Or was it after two more Khizriev won?
Yeah, well, Pinedo hadn't fought, I don't think, because he was. What's even crazier is that I wasn't going to even fight in Saudi Arabia last year. As you know, that Pinedo got hurt against Pitbull.
Yeah.
I was fighting Gabriel Braga. They said, sorry, your fight is canceled. Gabriel Braga is going to fight Patricio Pitbull. I said, wait a minute. It doesn't work that way. I was actually at the time doing I was acclimating to the time change in Morocco, and I talked to Ali. I said, Ali, I'm fighting one way or the other. That's not, you can't just pull the rug from underneath me 4 or 5 days before my fight. Like I've had a training camp. My coaches are here with me. I mean, they put in time. You get the gist of the story. So Ali, he's a great manager. So thankfully they said, all you do is have to make weight, and then you'll be paid. I said, okay, well, if that's what I have to do, then that's what I'll do. But I ultimately want to fight. Like I've been training to fight somebody, and thank God Henry Corrales stepped up, and I was able to fight. But yeah, they almost just said no fight in Saudi Arabia. So that was like, what the hell is going on? But like I said, man, Ali is a very, very good manager. he did what he had to do, and all the props to Henry Corrales for stepping up. But I'm sure he got paid very, very good, so that's always a good thing.
Good stuff here from Aaron Pico, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Goes, what do you have for Aaron Pico?
So, Aaron, we obviously appreciate you opening up and kind of clarifying everything that's going on. And if you don't mind, I'm just kind of curious, how long do you have to wait for? Is there, this matching period that they have? How much longer till that expires?
Well, I'm waiting for an offer right now from the UFC, but it could be up to a year.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so it could be 2 years without fighting. But like I said, the only one holding this up, and I'm going to just say it very, very blunt, is Donn Davis. Donn Davis can just give me my release and say, you're free to go to true free agency and test and see what's the best fit for you. And that's that. But like I said, he doesn't want to do that. And I have no idea why. I don't want to fight for you, honestly. There's 3 times you canceled on me, and not even a phone call to say, listen, this is what we have going on. I know we discussed it in the airport in Saudi Arabia that you were going to fight for the title in California. These are the reasons, blah, 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 but not even a phone call. So I don't trust him. I'm sure he's a great guy, but this is business. Now we're talking about business, and now you're messing with me and how I make a living for my son, and it's not cool. But I come from Scott Coker. Scott Coker is the one that brought me to Bellator, and I miss him very much. And I didn't fight. I've only fought for Donn Davis once in PFL, so I did my time. I did everything that I had to do. I did everything that I was asked of me, and now it's time to just let me go. So it's time to move on. I want bigger challenges, tougher fights, and please just give me that opportunity.
Aaron, one thing that we've spoken before about is so important for a fighter, and really when you think about it, anybody in their place of work, but more so on a fighter, the momentum that you carry from day to day. And you had a lot of that momentum. I know it's got to be difficult at this point to kind of keep that going. Can you maybe speak to that? What are you doing? Because a lot of us feel like you're probably in your prime right now. But again, momentum is so big in our sport.
I agree with you. For me, I mean, I'm always in the gym, working out and becoming the best fighter that I can possibly be. But you're absolutely right about momentum. There's something about being in a fight camp and making that walk and experience. So yeah, it is a little, like I said, concerning. But I've been on the big stage for my whole career, so I know that's not going to be the issue. Yeah, it's because I really did have good momentum going. But I'm positive. I know what I need to do. I know I'm the best fighter in the world at 145 pounds. I just need to go and show it. I just need to be given that opportunity. And when the time is right, I'll definitely be able to show the fans.
When that time comes, and I know we've spoken free agency, but it kind of seems like the UFC is where you want to go, and it seems like they'd like to have you. When that time does come, have you given thought of how you would like to be introduced into the UFC? Because we've seen other fighters come from back when it was World Series of Fighting, Bellator. Some of them come in pretty high, and then some of them have to kind of work their way up. What would you like to have as far as your experience to start off with UFC, if that isn't where you end up?
Yeah, I want to fight. I want to fight the best. I really do. I want to fight everybody in the UFC. But I've given it some thought. I think a good coming out party and introduction for a debut would be Bryce Mitchell. So I think and it would be a fun fight, and I think the UFC would be on board. So, but at the end of the day, I want to fight the top guys. I mean, Ilia Topuria is a champion, and I can honestly say that if Ilia Topuria and I fight, it will be one of the greatest fights MMA has ever seen. So I know I have to make my way up to him because you can't just get a title shot right off the bat, but that's ultimately who I want to fight. And I think the fans would love it.
Yeah. No, so first and foremost, the Bryce Mitchell fight, would love that. But when I do think of Topuria and I think of your style, your guys' style would make for a really, really fun fight. What do you think of his style? What do you think of yours? The way you guys match up? The first thing I think of is boxing, right? Both of you guys are quick. You both go to the body. Is he a guy that you kind of hope is still in that position when you get there? Or does it not matter who would be the champion when you get there?
Of course, I want him to be the champion. I mean, he's a hell of a fighter, but I can honestly say that, I think my boxing is better. I think my wrestling is better everywhere. But make no mistake about it, he's a really, really good fighter, and that will be one of the best fights MMA has seen. Honestly, one of us is going to sleep. That's for sure.
Man, this is great stuff. And I know that in the past, for example, Patricio, I think got his eventual release because there was pressure from him doing media and kind of backing PFL into a corner. First, it started out respectful, and then you could just tell he was frustrated as a fighter. In the end, that turned out to be maybe what PFL didn't want, right? They want their fighters, imagine, to be happy fighters or content fighters, or at least they want to be with PFL. PFL's already put out their featherweights for the tournament in 2025. We didn't see your name there.
Yeah.
And, you're free to negotiate with the UFC. It's just that PFL can now match that offer.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything, do you know, behind the scenes that the UFC can offer that they just can't match, I guess? Aside from a big number, I think in the past there used to be like this little loophole where the UFC could give pay-per-views. Now they usually only save them for the champs, but I think a few guys capitalized on that, and then other organizations weren't in that business, therefore they couldn't match. Is that what you guys are exploring, or is it just
that's a good question. That's I think a question for Ali and those guys. But I know there's they're doing the best that they possibly can. But Pitbull, I can see why he's frustrated, because he's a champion. He's a respected champion. He's done a lot of good things in Bellator. And I think just a lot of people are left in the dark. I mean, we don't know what's going on. We don't. And I think Donn Davis is just I think he bit off more than he can chew. I think he thinks that everything's gonna be, good and this and that. But who knows? I want the PFL. I want them to do well. I want them to do good things. It's because I have friends that are in the PFL. I want them to make money and support their family. But I just don't want to fight in the PFL. I don't. I want to go to the UFC.
And I always tell the PFL, I wish they would have a few more fighters that could speak English and connect with the crowd. And here they got a wrestler who has hands, an American who can speak English, who has a good record, who's beating good fighters. Like you should really be one of their prize assets that acquisition from Bellator. And yet they haven't used you much in the last year since they've taken over that roster. Yeah,
well, I agree with you 100%, but I feel comfortable saying this because I did my time. I did my contract. It's not like I just signed with them and then they haven't given me a fight and then it's like, hey, I want out now. But hey, you just signed. I did my time. I signed for 30 months, 7 fights, and they actually only gave me 5 fights. So from what I read, it's a breach of contract. But rather than go down that path and get into this and this and that, just give me my full release. Simple as that, So yeah. I did everything that I was asked of. I never turned down a fight from the beginning. I mean, early on I fought guys that I had no business being in there with, but I still stepped in the cage and did what I had to do. So, like I said, I just let me go.
You have a great manager, and you're handling this like a true professional. Let's end with this. Let's have a little bit of fun. I'm going to name a name, and you just tell me one word that jumps into your head as far as that fighter's concerned. All right. Diego Lopez.
Jiu-jitsu. That's what I think of.
Volkanovski.
Warrior.
Emmett. Josh Emmett.
I think of bricks because he has some bricks in his hands.
Yair Rodriguez.
Tricky.
Mozar Evloev.
Wrestler.
Mad Max Holloway.
Legend. Yeah, he's a legend. Yeah.
And what's the one word you would use for Ilia Topuria?
I just think of Rose because he always has a rose.
All right.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
How about Arnold Allen?
All around, he's a really good fighter. Yeah, all around. Yeah.
Going back to Evloev, would you love to match American wrestling and Russian wrestling when it comes, you said the word wrestling, but would you like to test that?
Oh, for sure. My wrestling is a lot better than his. I've watched all his fights. I actually just watched 3 of his fights like 2 days ago. I study everybody. So yeah, I think my wrestling is a lot better than his.
I hope in the next few months this kid's cleared up and you get what you want. Thanks so much for joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much, and hopefully we talk to you guys soon with some big news. That would be awesome.
Sounds good. Can't wait. All right, take care. We'll see you.